Okay, so if all goes well, it should be recording. Yeah, I see the sign. Okay, good. What is the idea of today is a short introductory meeting to working group 2. And then some ideas that we might have. I have prepared a short presentation so that we have something to discuss about. And then after the presentation, I will switch then back to you so that I can see you. Then we can talk a little bit. And yeah, so in the original meeting of cost, I had included normally this link to this meeting, and it was planned for more or less an hour. But yeah, in the cost invitation, I saw that it was then for 2.5 hours. I think that's a bit too long. But yeah, we will see where the discussions lead us. So I will present my screen. That means that I will not be able to see you. Okay, so if you have any questions, just switch on your microphone and then I will stop talking and I can listen to your questions. So I will share now my screen. Okay. And if all goes well, then you should see a first slide now. Yes. Yes? Okay, good, perfect. So like I said, this is the sub meeting for working group 2. So we are called the models working group. And so I will lead this presentation, but I also have the help within this organization of the co-leader, Celia. And Celia, yeah, if you want, you can say hi. I think people will still see you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay, so we both will guide this working group a bit, but you will see in the end that it's very flexible. So nothing is fixed yet in full, but we have some, like initial thoughts how we could do it. And you remember, well, for the ones that assisted in the first meeting, this is how during the first meeting where Brunella introduced the cost action in full, how our working group was looking like at that moment. Maybe there is in the meantime already an update, but that shows that we are more or less with 40, maybe that number increased in the meantime already. The idea is indeed, well, the good thing is what we like to see in this graph is that there are people that are belonging to this working group, but that are also people that belong to other working groups, because we are, of course, the modeling working group, but that means if we want to do it properly, that we need a strong interaction with working group 1, with working group 3, and in the end also with working group 4 and 5. But so that means that indeed information will be transmitted from amongst the working group. So that is nice to see. And therefore, I thought to start with this structure again. According to the cost action MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, if you look there and you go through the document, then that means what is basically the goal or the main goal of our working group. Basically, we have to select from existing physiological and geospatial models, the ones that best suit to assess water status, water use, and plant physiological performances. And that can be by integrating plant sensors and/or remote sensing technologies as model input. And therefore, you already directly see plant sensors that links to working group 1. And if we need to assess the water status, that is and water use, that is an ideal parameter for then the irrigation scheduling. So basically, we are at the cross of these two working groups. So in the Memorandum of Understanding and in the project, we have defined 3 tasks, and I will just go over it to get us up to speed so that all of us know what has been written in this project proposal. So the first task is basically to identify the physiological and geospatial models in the literature. So that means indeed that a literature review is required, and that the inputs can come from plant-based and or remote sensing technologies, and the outputs need to predict or estimate the plant water status and or the water needs. So that means that translated that we need to do a survey of existing models and identify their suitability for then the more generic irrigation model and the decision support that will come out then from this cost action and what we would like to have as a deliverable in the end. So that's task 1. Task 2 is to select then the most robust and reliable models, because if we do the literature review, there will be models that are more applicable than others, and so we have to make there a choice so that we can give it and further to work package 3 and 4. And what do these models need to do? They need to be able to predict the tree water use logically for irrigation scheduling, but also the physiological and productive performance of the plants. And that under different water availability conditions. And that is also an important one, because that means that the models that we select, that they need to be able to also describe, for example, drought stress. So there can be good models that are developed for control conditions, but if you want to use them under different water availability, that could be then a limitation for those control plant models, and we can discuss about that. So that is task 2. Then task 2.3 is to compare the performance of selected models. And an important one is also to increase the interoperability of the platforms in which they are compiled, because all of us, maybe we use different platforms. And if we, of course, want to go to an integrated system, then these models need to be able to communicate with each other, need to be able to run online and things like that. And so it's also important that we review that, what is at hand, and from that then make solutions available for stakeholders, and that is towards the end of the cost action. And then also we will check that then towards the end that that the platforms and models and that we propose from working group 1, 2, and 3 to 4, whether indeed they function accurately under different environments. So that were basically the 3 tasks in working group 2, and that leads to 2 deliverables, a review paper and a report on modeling platforms. So the review paper should be on models, and we can discuss that today a little bit, how to organize that to get started with the review paper. You see the deliverable for it, the milestone for it when it needs to be ready is after 2.75 years, so almost 3 years, and the report on the modeling platforms and the availability and accessibility of the models should be a half a year later. I have put that a bit in a timeline, so to give you a bit an appreciation where we are. So the cost action has started the 17th of October. Here we are today with our welcome meeting. Here we have the big meeting in Italy, so that situates here. And then we have to deliver the review paper in year 3 and the report on the modeling platforms in year 4. So that gives you a bit of time frame on the time that we have. And so we will start here today. And we were thinking a little bit how to organize ourselves a bit, because there are many people. You will see also with different expertise in sensors, in remote sensing, in modeling, in irrigation scheduling, in different kind of trees, fruit trees, forest trees, name it. So I think to make this work, we thought that it is good to know who is who and what are we doing, and and that is a bit the topic of today, whether you find that a good idea that we do a kind of a survey. And we have thought a little bit what should be included in that survey. I will just now go over it to give you an idea, and then we can come back to that in more detail. So we thought, okay, if we want to know each other better, that we have a kind of a survey on who are we. Also, what is your model focus? Is it plant-based? Is it crop-based? Is it remote sensing? Because you have seen the model. The models can have as an input also remote sensing data, can have maps as an output, for example, but that are then different modeling platforms, and therefore it's important to know who is here in the group and how do we organize ourselves. Then the plant focus. If you look at yourself, and are you working already with fruit trees, fruit trees? If yes, which ones? Or are you working on forest trees? But do you have cool concepts that can help us here in this work group? Or do you work on plants in general? That is things that we can discuss. Also, the use of the models. How do you use them? If you use models, is it only offline that you simulate things? Or did you already have experience with a kind of semi-online where there is the interaction with the human and then the computer, but that you were able with a model to steer something? Or do you maybe already have a really online working tool with limited human intervention? So that is what I don't know, and what should be useful for working group 2 to have an idea on who is in the group, and also for writing then this review or reviews. I will come back to that in a minute. And then this is also maybe an important one, because of course we are here as a group of interested people. But if we decide to write a review on a certain topic, because the idea is to have a review paper in general, but if you think a little bit about it, it could be that there are several review papers depending on the focus that we want to have. And then, of course, if you want to write a review, it's not sufficient that only the ones that are in the network contribute, but maybe you have then interesting networks yourself that you say, yeah, for this review, that modeling expert is important to involve, or works that you know about, or applications, so that we also contact those people, or in one or another way, we can discuss that how we do it, but that we really have a general overview for having a good review on the topic. So that's on you and your network. And the second part of this survey could go then on the models, your models and your platforms. And that contributes not only to the review, but also to the second deliverable, these platforms. So what are we working with? What are the advantages, the disadvantages? Where do we need integration? And therefore, we thought on these kind of questions: which type of modeling? Are you mechanistic modeler, FSPM, so functional structure plant model? That means, are you using data-driven systems, AI, hybrid systems? So maybe I forgot in all of these points things, but we can discuss that. What do you use as model input? Is it just data files, or this data coming from sensors, from meteo stations? Do we use images? Do we need to include also genetic information? That were things that one can think of. Model output. According to the Memorandum of Understanding, we need to have at least a plant water status proxy, tree water use. So there are ideas how you can do that, but maybe also new ideas. Physiological performance, is the photosynthesis performing well? And then that leads to yield, because those two are not the same. Or can the model generate maps? So that is what we consider with model outputs. And then which models can you do you use? Is it your own development, or do you work with a refinement of an existing model, or do you use existing models without any modification, or do you even maybe use already existing tools? And then the last one is the modeling platform. So that were a bit the points that we could think of on your models and platforms. And basically that is a bit the topic of today. If you find this a good idea, we can discuss these points further. And then how to organize such a survey. Do we use a shared document, an Excel that we just fill with those points, or do you prefer a survey platform? But then we need to think and look at the group, whether there are any experts with making such a survey platform. And basically that is a bit the topic of today. So I can go back here and leave this on, or you all take a screenshot of this, and then I switch off the sharing of my screen and I can see you. It's like you prefer. So are there any questions? So I will quickly stop sharing so that I can at least see a little bit the group. Okay, so that is a bit the idea, because like I say, we need to have a review, right? And so if we have to have a review, we have to know a little bit who is in the group, and also maybe there are here people that that are interested in using the model but are not modelers themselves, so they can also indicate that, because we need that link. And then we can think a little bit on how to get started, and whether you find this kind of review useful to put together some ideas, and from there we can then work in groups, because maybe, I don't know, maybe there are PhD students amongst us that need to do a literature review on models, and we can help them. So it's and also who is pulling this paper, or being that is, I think, to my opinion, all too early to decide on. But we can just now inform each other, okay, what are the topics that we would like to discuss, and then depending on the interest or the time that people have, then allocate some tasks to people. That is a bit the idea. Yes. No, it's not a question. It was a person that want to be admitted. Okay, who likes to open the discussion?
Well, I was thinking of one aspect of model comparison.
Yes.
That I often find it a bit difficult, but I mean, this is not to say that it's not an interesting subject. Actually, it's very interesting, but models very often have different scopes, different variables. They represent different things. And for instance, one thing that I think is a major one to consider is what type of agro ecosystem, or well, fruit agro ecosystem. Okay, fruit trees, but also fruit trees change with each other. There are mixed crops. There are monospecific, covered with a net or without a net, etc. So maybe that will be at some point. Maybe even in the survey, when we say, okay, I work with this model, making explicit what is the context that is represented by the model, that is probably useful. And then I, like, before starting the comparison, I already guessed that it's often hard to compare, because models basically never represent the same thing. There is always something that is different between two models. But this doesn't mean that the model is not useful. I mean that a model cannot be more useful than another one.
But I think we can, of course, at a certain moment compare. models, but I think in the first instance, a step before that is to know what, like you say, which different types of models are out there with more or less the same aim to understand plant functioning. That could be like the main aim. So can they make clear that there is stress on a certain tree? Is it indeed individual or for the full crop? That could be, and all this information, like you, I totally agree with you. To really compare, it's very difficult. But it would be nice to have an overview. Like there are, I don't know, 20 models, plant-based, tree-based, and including or not including stress phenomenon, and then the 20 models that do the full crop and have the ability to also include, for example, management practices, which the other group maybe will not have, and have the link, for example, with remote sensing. And if we have the overview, then we can start to think, okay, do we need to compare and say this is the best one? I don't think that then we will never succeed, because each model has its own strengths and weaknesses. But what we could try to do by having a good overview is this part is not in a certain model, but if we upgrade this model with that concept, maybe we will have then a next step, better model of that type. So I would start with just an inventory of what is out there, because I don't think that there are many reviews already published like that, with this focus on using the model, and that is what we need to discuss within the group. How do we see it? Is it indeed, do we want to have the model then applicable, so that we are within working group 1 and working group 3, that it has to be able to apply for irrigation? I think that is still the main goal here for FruitCREWS. And then of course you can then screen, okay, this has a good concept, but in the end, for example, I say something, in the end, it does not have any water status prediction. Yeah, okay, how will you then say and inform that there has to be irrigation? Well, maybe other things are very well described in that model, but then maybe that model is not so well suited for our aims, that we kind of channel them towards the aim of the cost action. It could be an idea. I'm just, speculating further on an idea that you, Francesco, mentioned. So
actually, I think also how we, I mean, if the models are imagined to at some point fit into operations in the field or go closer to the user, how do we imagine, or how the literature imagines these models to come closer to the actual use? Because very often models are formalized, they are tested in a lab, and that's it. Which is very interesting, but it's also quite different than DSS. DSS is another. Very often DSS is a black box we know nothing about. We know that it's sold for money, and people are happy to have it and hope it works. And so there is a big gap, I think, and I think it's a nice perspective to speculate or try understanding how models can fit that, can fill that gap and be scientifically sound, but yet maybe closer to applications.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. Yeah. Yes, Omar.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
I'm Omar from Universidad La Laguna in Canary Islands. So maybe I was thinking that the title of the cost action itself can just somehow limit this deliverable, because it says fruit tree crop response to water deficit and decision support system application. So this annual crop might be out of the box.
Yeah.
I don't know. The models that doesn't account for water deficit will be out of the box too. And somehow to discuss between some more mechanistics and more related to decision support system or some link between them. But this can be a starting point.
Yeah. That's certainly also a good suggestion. Yeah, because otherwise, indeed, like you say, if we don't downsize it to really the goals of the action, then yeah, it's an impossible task to to get everything in. So yeah, correct. But to maybe reflect on that, that means indeed if you want to do that and if you want to work together and divide some task amongst us, we need to know a little bit. Well, yeah, we of course know each other all a little, let's say, or some more than others, so that we at least have also an overview on which expertise do we have in the group. To then guide and pull some of the points that we want to reflect on in this cost action. Or yeah, do you agree with this kind of philosophy? Or
are you asking me or because
no? Yeah, you and the group.
No, I fully agree. My point is that I completely agree with what you said, that it is an enormous task. And I think we should just focus in a few things and try to do it well. Because one of the points here that talks about the model robustness and reliability, I think that's something that you really need to define before what are you looking for.
Yeah.
In the sense that in order to do the proper analysis of model reliability, in my opinion. So maybe try to just in this first meeting focus on a few points, that it's maybe fruit trees that has some kind of deficit irrigation simulation module or approach. And maybe something related more to DSS that also accomplish these two things, that is a DSS that includes fruit trees and can just provide simulations for water deficit conditions. That could be a starting point.
Yeah, I fully agree. But and therefore, I think in this survey, well, I'm not talking from my own experience, because we recently published something about ficus. But ficus is not a fruit tree, but of course it's a woody species, and you could, the idea that is behind it, like kind of put on a fruit tree and make it work there also. So and it needs good reflection, because we need to narrow down, but maybe we should also not be too strict in the keywords initially, yes, but then be a bit broader, just to look for good ideas, not on fruit trees, but which might be useful for our action. But yeah, we can work in different steps, but I follow your point. I see your point.
Thanks.
Okay, good. Then I see Andy, that you...
Thanks, Kathy.
Hello.
I just had a couple of points, really. One is the model deliverable, so to say, going to be something that gives control over a solenoid, or are you anticipating something that would be like a human in the loop system, where it would notify an irrigation manager to act or to go out and look at the trees? Is that kind of, where do you see it going? Do you think fully automated, or sort of a human in the loop type system?
Well, Brunella, I will say something, but if you want to compliment, go ahead. Because how I appreciate it is that that our job is indeed to find models that can strengthen decision support systems. And the question whether or not humans need to be in the loop, that is also partly the discussion of the decision support group, because we also have working group 4, I think, that is dealing with that. And what I heard, what Francesco said, often it's a black box, and the idea of us is to make that box maybe a bit less black and understand better, and maybe see there tools that maybe the decision support does not yet have. And then it's up to us, indeed, if it is that last point, it's up to us to decide, okay, look, we from the review, this and that model, if we combine that, we have both the plant measurements and the remote sensing, there comes something out. There is no tool that yet exists, and what we then decide. So therefore, indeed, this horizontal interaction between the different working groups stays super crucial. But we have to analyze a little bit, okay, what models would be useful, and do we learn more from them? So, and it can be AI oriented as long as we learn from it. To understand the responses like is written in the title.
Yeah, great. And I was just also wondering whether you had a sort of, or the group has got exemplar data sets where these different models can be applied on. I mean, if we have really good observed values and a good range of variables that could feed a model, we can then, pick up, how to validate the different models on a single or a series of data sets.
That's a good one. Yeah, that can be like in the next step, once we have identified the models and we want to compare them, that we kind of have a standardized data set or data sets and check them. That's a good one. Yeah.
Thanks, Kathy.
Okay. Then I see in my list, Alan. Alan Laxo. I
sorry.
mispronounced. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah, actually, I would just agree with Andy about finding good data sets. And I think, especially for water use, there are some data sets that are very good based on lysimeters. I know in Lleida, in Spain, they had very, very good data sets. So sometimes the data sets are not necessarily part of models, but it would be very useful to find those data sets for the group.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And maybe because I think in working group 1, they will also do a data set collection, Brunella, for the different sensors. So maybe then this interaction, what do the models need as a validation data set? Yeah, it could be like also included in that database, so that we can refer to that collection and do not need to ask around from our working group. Yeah, so, but maybe Pasquale, maybe the lysimeters are already in the database or not? Not yet?
Not yet, but I take note to include the lysimeter, of course.
Yeah. Okay, good, perfect. Good, then on my list, Alessio?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Thanks, Kathy. I was just, I don't know if I missed it because I attended the first part of the meeting on my phone and I couldn't see the screen very well. But what I didn't see was weather variables, like weather data. Are we going to include that in the models or not?
Yeah. So, well, I can quickly share my screen again. Just, no, wacht, I'm doing something wrong. One moment. Screen. Okay, now you see now my screen again?
Yep.
Yeah, and so indeed, depending on the models, as a model input, you could use, for example, SAPflow as a sensor input, but these sensors can also be meteorological data from which then through I don't know, a Pemamontite inspired relation that you then quantify transpiration and use that as an input, just to give you an example. And I think that is important because models that allow to quantify the transpiration need and the water use, let's say, from the meteo data, because if you do it properly, basically it reflects the sap flow that a plant will consume, but then we can use sap flow sensors to check whether it's still okay or not. And because not always the tree exactly respond according to Pemamontite equation, and certainly not if it has stress. So we could then find a kind of a way that we can predict from weather data how the tree could perform, but with the sensors then keep a close vision whether the tree still behaves like we assume it to be, as an example. Yeah, but definitely weather data linked to water relations has certainly a place in the scheme.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like maybe a special focus or a part of our group should focus on forecasting rather than real-time predictions of water status.
Yeah, okay, that's another point. And indeed, for use of models, not only online, but also forecasting, even, yeah, good. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Other ideas?
Yeah. Well, I
yes.
would comment on the forecast. That's, I mean, given the same model, that means somehow reflecting on the probability to get a good prediction for a given scenario. But I mean, it looks to me a bit next to the model itself.
Yeah.
I mean, the process, given the same processes, then you may have a probabilistic approach to guess what is a good season in a given place for cropping something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's just that to me it looks like a topic next to this one, although very, very close. Actually, very, very important for predictions, for applicability, although not exactly on the processes of the tree.
Yeah, but I think, if I may, that we can have, we need to maybe include both, because you can also have like short-term forecast, a bit like what I presented during the opening meeting. Then we forecast like one day and then look at really the physiological processes. Is the stem behaving like we expect it to behave, yes or no? But then, Alessio, I think you mean more indeed like, okay, can we predict from a certain, for a full year, like up to yield, for example? And indeed, I think that is the full frame. And if we can cover everything, then we are, yeah, then we certainly need to apply for an EU call research project, because that is the idea. I think with the review alone, we will not be able to cover everything, but we can certainly distillate good ideas from what there is, and then identify gaps, and then say, okay, look, but we are the team that have the knowledge to push it towards the full frame. Well, Brunella, that's a bit the ambition, eh? More or less.
No, but that's nice. I think actually, as you said at the beginning, we have two main goals, two aspects, and that's the same for most of our working groups. One is the scientific, moving on. So the scientific value of what we do for reviews and publications in general. And the other one is the more applied side of things. So in the more applied side of things, we will need to distill really what's useful for the growers, starting from what the grower needs, okay? And also finding, of course, a compromise between what we can really measure in the field from working group one, to, the implementation into practice. So deciding whether we need or not the human inputs, or if everything is automatic, depending on, what the growers accept, what is more reliable. So that's the other challenge. We have two kind of levels, I think, in this big project.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Yes. There is
Cenk.
yeah. Okay, I could not see the name. Okay.
Hello everyone. Sorry, I was late because I think this connection was not good. You know, there was a huge earthquake in Turkey. Maybe my connections was not good. Maybe you explained this issue, but I was wondering, for model will we use or will we consider for all varieties for fruits, temperature fruits, or for example pear, sweet cherry, apple, or citrus or figs, or will we consider or will we use all varieties for apple, for example, you know, 6 or 7 varieties for trade are important for apple growing. I was wondering, we will consider or we will use for model all varieties fruits or only one fruits for all varieties?
And do you mean then for the review? Because I think if it is for the review, then we need to include them all, because that will guide a small part of the review paper or review report or whatever that we will produce, because that then touches a bit indeed on an aspect. Is it a general plant model, or has it even the specificities that you can predict the or simulate? Let's start with that. Simulate the responses of a certain variety. And if there is information available in the literature on that, we need to include it in the review. But indeed, like we said, I think we should to structurize ourselves or to start thinking a little bit. If we, besides introducing what we do and what we have available, and we dive into the literature, that we can start with the fruit trees that are mentioned in the project, so that we start from that. But then, for example, if I say something that we don't find anything, and now we will find for all, but assume we don't find a model for pears, to just set our ideas a little bit. And it is a crop that, or a fruit tree that we want to consider, but there in the literature there is not yet anything about that. But there is a very nice model on almonds, but almonds is not into the project. But there is a cool concept, so I think we should then make kind of a way to include the cons, to first review what is available for the fruit trees, what we have at hand. And then second, what are useful concepts from other, and therefore I also mentioned forest trees, because there could be cool concepts from that part that we introduce then or want to review into our models. So I think it will go stepwise, and if there is information available, all the information that is available for the crops, for the fruit trees that we consider in this project, we need to include it, at least in the review. And then, of course, if it goes to the experiments and testing, like towards the end of the cost action, to test whether it's reliable, then we need to talk, I think, with the other working groups to, I think, select certain, common varieties, but that I will, leave a bit towards the others to decide that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Then we have Selami.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm also from Turkey. My expertise area is not agricultural area. I'm from electrical engineering. But this year, we started to do something in the irrigation systems. We have written a chapter. It is a review, smart irrigation systems. And then because of our expertise area, we just analyzed machine learning and artificial intelligence in the smart irrigation systems. But we didn't consider the importance of the models and also proportions of the models, how they are applicable and reliable and deliverable. So if in this group there will be a review paper, there should be some details and much more analysis on the models, because there is a problem because we read many papers every time. There are much differences between the models. So I think there is required much more data to obtain a general model for any fruit. It doesn't matter apple or anyone. First of all, there must be a decision about, is that a mathematical model or black box model? If the black box model is used, then much more data is required. Maybe some of you know, in the machine learning area, we have some classification problem for the image processing, and Google or Facebook, these kind of companies have very big models. These models are collected and then produced to classify many data sets. But if you want to use a new data to classify by using these networks, you just need a new layer. Then you can use this model without collecting much data. Therefore, this kind of large model can be constructed for all fruit trees. Then if you want to just specialize it for apple or for another fruit, you just need a small data set, and then you can add some small number of the parameters, and then they can be optimized and then can be used for a specific topic. This is my idea for a possible future project from this group. And also for a review paper, I can also contribute because of the in these smart irrigation systems, there are many works from our works we are using every time. So this is my opinion. And also I agree with the other participants, because models have much differences. There is required a general model for all. At least one of the three, maybe I can say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
Okay, good. And did I understand it well that you wrote a chapter on?
Yeah, survey paper, but then we published in a book. I can share also with you. It's about smart irrigation systems, but we analyzed much more the papers, machine learning and control theory, because we are working in this area. But after your cost action and also your presentation in the last meeting, then I have seen the importance of the models. Then now I'm reading something from this area, and then I agree with the other participants, because the models have much more problems, and then there must be a general model, at least some of the trees with added value, you know.
Yeah, and then I think you agree, by indeed reviewing, we can see whether there is an opportunity to create this general model and work towards that.
We can do it. But we need a larger data set, and then by using some improved, or I don't know, developed artificial intelligence models, we can construct it. Then for a specific purpose, we just need a small data sets to use in different trees or regions, because soil is different, and then seed is different, and other things, they are all different. Therefore, but at least we must have some general black box models. It's my idea for now.
Yeah, but I think it would be interesting for this group if you can share the chapter just for reading, or send a link that we can look for it. That would be already, I think, also nice. And then we can work further on that. Okay, then I have Antonio.
Yeah, hello, everybody.
Hello.
Just a question is, what are we doing with the artificial intelligence? Because the scope and the goal, the main goal is based on physiological aspect mainly. I mean, we give the primary or the main importance to the physiology to try to understand the processes and try to understand the differences between species, etc. But artificial intelligence is something like a black box, but many people are using it now with sensor and with remote sensing and everything. So how are we dealing with that?
Well, if I can go for the first, and then we can see what the group thinks of. But I think there is room for looking at artificial intelligence, because you can also imagine within a certain model that if you don't know the relation yet mechanistically what's going on between A and B, that you kind of that is also what we do in the mechanistic modeling. Then it's a kind of a gray box. And then let's see what the AI tools have to offer, if they can find a solution for that that part that we might be missing. Then we have at least have to have a look at it, or at around it. So yeah, I think you can look at in different ways to try to combine, because I think that is also a bit the possibility that we have with this group. We have people that work with mechanistic models. We have people that work with artificial intelligence techniques, and the better we start to communicate to each other, maybe we find indeed the way to go. Like I have to look at the name. Selami has said that you kind of create a path for having the application of both, because alone with black box you will not reach it. But maybe we need some artificial intelligence to make the mechanistic models work. I don't know. It's not that I am in favor for one or the other, but I see opportunities maybe to, in the coming 4 years, to work together and find maybe new solutions that others did not find yet, because they don't have this opportunity to so closely work and talk to each other. So yeah, at this moment I am open for both directions. Yeah.
Maybe I can add. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can add some more sentences for that one, because if you have a mechanistic model based on the physical laws, then we can do more analysis. Yes, it's good, and then in some points it's they are reliable. It's okay, but the problem is they can be more local, and then they can be applicable only for small area. I don't know how to say, but if you have more data and then you create a general model, yes, we can predict more future horizon for the plant. The problem is we cannot have interesting analysis, some observability and controllability, and then some stabilizability. This kind of analysis is not easy to do using artificial intelligence models. That's the problem. Yes, the good thing is we can have a general model and then we can predict the future behavior. The problem is we cannot do small analysis. So physical laws based mathematical models are more useful maybe for now, but the problem is they are not general. That's the problem, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then I have Omar and Francesco. Yeah, both can go. You can choose.
Whatever, I don't mind. Well, I go. Just maybe if we thinking again in the deliverable, maybe I missed the second part of the title, but the deliverable says review paper on robust and reliable models. And I'm thinking in adding to this title with potential application into DSS tools. Why? Because in that way we can think in the points that can meet the objective of the deliverable. Mm-hmm. Two of them have already been said. It needs to capture water changes, also to integrate plant sensors and remote sensing data. But maybe we can think in other things like having the enough accuracy to work with a certain level of precision or no. Or maybe we can say, no, we want a more broader tools. I think if we define a bit this title for the deliverable, we can just go farther and deeper to just pick up the things that we think that this application should have. And also, we will connect to the other working groups saying, hey guys, this is we have done a review. Those are the models available that meet all the things that we think that might be useful to create a novel DSS solution, maybe.
Yeah. That's, I fully agree. Yeah. Okay, that's noted down. Then Francesco?
Yes, I wanted to make a little comment on the black boxes, because I think there are two types of black boxes. One that is a model that is so difficult to understand, which the mechanisms are way too hard, like in some cases, or maybe many cases of artificial intelligence, in which the model uses convolution metrics and other things that are hard to follow what they are eventually getting to. And the model may be interesting, but we just don't understand its logic. The other black box is a model of which the code is not accessible. Maybe it's easy to understand, but we just cannot read because it's not open source or free software.
Yeah.
And these are very different things. We can have control on some kind of control on something that is hard to understand, but maybe exploring a little bit, at some point we understand something. But until a code is closed and is just black because someone encrypted it, then we cannot. Personally, I would try to avoid this second case because we have some kind of commitment of making knowledge transparent, I think.
Yeah. That's a good remark.
For the artificial intelligence, well, I'm not. I never worked on that, but I'm fully into giving it a chance also because it seems that artificial intelligence is taking over. So I think if we're someone that works on it, I think it's necessary to give some room. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, but I to get you some sleep this night. I think indeed artificial intelligence, it can help us, but remember also in the title, we need to understand the responses of the plant, and that is where I think still the mechanistic model can play a big role, and in one or another way, we can, I think, find a way to work together, but I don't think that we need here to say, it's all, or that the conclusion will be, we will do it all with artificial intelligence. Neither maybe that we will say we'll do it all with mechanistic modeling, but like you say, we should give it a bit of room and look for it, but keep in mind that we want to understand what's going on. That is our modeling session was indeed installed to understand the plant responses. And yeah, if there comes new technology and artificial intelligence can do that, okay, then we are very happy. But at this moment, I think we therefore still need the mechanistic models. So they can help each other, and hopefully we have both in the group so that we can start learning from each other and find the same language to talk, and that is, I think, that would be a big achievement. Salami, is this still your hand, or do you have?
No, but I have also some contribution. In the presentation, I have seen semi-online. Yes, semi-online is also interesting point because fully artificial intelligence model cannot be trusted because of the lack of data. But in some cases, we can create a model by using of course, a number of data. The problem is airtime data. For the artificial intelligence, airtime data. We need more data every time. If it is okay, there is no problem. So after the model is created, we can still continue to optimize model and also add the new parameters, and then it can be called semi-online model. And also, by using mechanistic model, we can still use it as a semi-online model because by using offline model, we can add some new parameters, and also still some of the parameters can be optimized in online sense. In my papers, usually I use offline optimized model, then I'm still continuing to optimize model because it is much more adaptable for the new conditions, and also they can predict future behavior more accurate, and then some control signals can be created easily. So semi-online models are also interesting point for the deficit of the water.
Okay, good. Then Gerard.
Yeah, hello. Can you understand? I'm sorry, I'm a bit late. I don't know what you already discussed, but when I'm just reacting to what has been said there. Did you already discuss the possibility of using 3D images created by virtual plants, so models, but that create plausible sets of images as a training set for artificial neural networks, or has this not been discussed?
Well, we discussed a bit that to structure this working group, and given that we need to deliver a review on the models and the modeling platforms that we are applying, that we would send out a survey to get to know each other. And one of these things, but I can, for your information, I can share it because I saw indeed that you might have seen that. So I share my screen again. And so the idea would be indeed, well, I think this is a bit what you reflect. Depending on the type of model that you have, one could think of images as a model input for then, this type of modeling and that would be a bit the idea that well, it's good that you mentioned that, because that means that in the survey amongst us that there will be at least somebody that is interested in that topic, and then we can see how it fits then the general review. And also if you have then a network with people that say this is the way to go, that we also include it in our review, that we are not too limited and do not see left and right, but that we are really inclusive, and everything that we can gather as information to then select, of course, because once you have the overview, we need to have a clear message, and it was said that the title could certainly guide us, which is a very good idea. But then we can see, okay, of all the things that we have, that and that and that can feed our final aim. That is a bit a summary of.
Well, thank you very much, Kati.
Okay.
Right.
So I think this is a very good discussion, and I'm really, really happy because it even goes already further than what I had hoped for. Let's put it like that. But I see that Fatia has first still a question before I go on. Fatia? We do not hear you, but Maybe your microphone is not on. Atia? Is there something in the chat? I don't know. But yeah, if you can you type something in the chat just to know whether you hear us? I have problems with my microphone. Okay, no worries. So just try to solve it. In the meantime, I will continue. And if you just switch on your microphone and you interrupt me as soon as the problems are solved. So what I was going to say is indeed, this will be super to work together, and I feel there will be a lot of things to do. We can do nice things together, but maybe to kind of conclude, is the first step, is everybody okay with it, that we make this kind of survey to just have a bit to know what we have already in this group available, and also the people that could not be here today, then that we structure it a little bit like that? Can that be a conclusion of this meeting? I see, yeah, the faces that I see say yes. Otherwise, just say it or okay. Well, then the next question is then how will we do that? Is there anybody experienced in making a survey, or do we say we just go to a simple Google Docs? Yeah, well, that is also what I had in mind, to something shared document that we can. Is that for everybody okay, or do we need fancier things? No? Okay, so we go for Google Docs. So yeah, I think Celia and myself, we will prepare then a little bit this document, then send it around to the whole working group too. So and then we can take some time to fill it in, and then I think we analyze it a little bit, and then maybe we can have a new shorter meeting. It's maybe better that we have shorter meetings instead of like whole mornings or or even whole days. If we are in person, then it's fine, but on the screen, maybe we keep it a bit shorter. And then that we inform each other, and then we have already a bit an idea on the amongst ourselves. And also, please feel free, if you are only working on sensors but have cool data, you have heard it, cool data sets for inputs or cool data for validation, please indicate that also in the survey, because the links are really important. And if we will maybe foresee also an open field in case there are ideas that emerged after this meeting, and this night you sleep over and you think, oh, this has to be in, then either just call us or fill it in. But Gerard, yeah, I see that. Go ahead.
Yeah, would it be an idea, or is everyone familiar with GitLab or GitHub, to create already a depository for stuff, free stuff, of course? Or would that be too much asked? And the second thing, have you already planned a next meeting? And if so, I would have the suggestion to send around a doodle. I don't know if you, and to establish at least a consensus date, because well, I'm not, and it's not important, but for today I had already an obligation with a course that I couldn't shift. So if we could do that, that would be fine.
No.
For the GitLab, it's an option, because you can deposit several types of documents already and structure it a little bit.
Yeah, well, we will see indeed for general, but also within the general cost framework, we think of how to share things. So I will maybe follow a little bit the advice there. but at least that we have something where we can put, like, for example, this chapter or whatever that we want to share, that we have something within the working group to share. And with respect to the dates, the reason why we have now these fixed dates is just to have a first start, and therefore we, but for sure, for the next one, maybe we need to, well, first to get the survey ready, then send it around, give you a bit of time, then have a look a little bit at it, and that we then say like, within, I don't know, Celia, within a month or something around that time, and that we then send the doodle, look, we already, what is the availability, and also is like this afternoon, I assume afternoon sessions is the best, but for me, if it needs to be a bit later, that can also be fine. So what is that, the general feeling of the group according to timing? Is it a 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock starting meeting, or
it would be better 3 o'clock, because
3
I
o'clock.
have classes in the morning.
Yeah.
Not this week, but next week and until July. So
okay. Well, but then it's easy. Then we just say from 3 o'clock, and then we take dates that fits, and then you just need to fill in the date, and then that's then easier. Otherwise, you need to make like these time blocks, and okay. And let's say for as a kind of an internal ambition that we go for maybe a meeting beginning or mid March, between beginning of March and mid-March, something like that. And and if we see that we need a bit more time, then as if you don't hear from us, we are still busy, and if you are ready, you will hear from us. And then indeed we can maybe start then, and also that's also possible. You know now a bit by presenting what the focus is, but assume that somebody of you has a good idea for a certain direction of a certain, and you want some time in one of these meetings to present an idea that you think, oh, this might be useful, just write to me or Celia or Brunella, and then we plan it in, because as I said, we like to guide you a bit, but it's not that we are saying you need to do this. It's we together that need to do that, and so we are certainly willing to listen to good ideas, and so if you have directions that you think, did they not think about that, just let us know, and then we can give you the floor. And also within that is how cost actions work. It is our time and our willingness to invest time in this. So if you say, I was just thinking of a nice review on this topic, and just feel free. It's not that neither myself nor Celia or others already said, I want to be the first author on that paper. So if you have ideas, please feel free, feel comfortable to work with us, and also divide tasks to us if you have them, because it's by working together that we will manage, because we don't have the research money, so we need to organize ourselves a little bit. So I hope that we can create like a very open community, and you can communicate all the things that you find relevant for this group with us, and also how we can help you. Let's put it like that in your running projects, and if it could support things, then certainly do that. Also, don't forget short-term scientific missions, because that can also stimulate. Once we are in some directions and want to find some points, define some points, use it to interact with each other, and maybe take a certain task in the big pie, or a puzzle piece in the big puzzle to work on. So that's all good, as long as we then can bring it back and in this nice flow of the full cost action. Okay, so I think that is do I see here some? No. I don't know whether you have other questions, or whether you are fine
There is
with this.
There is a comment from Fatia in the chat.
Yeah, we need to think about model classification depending on their suitability and applicability, because under no control conditions, it's more difficult and need better control of soil and weather. Yeah, that is fully true. And that is something I think that we pointed out also during the meeting and in the survey, and which will go here from in the chat, better formulated in the full survey. Thank you, Fatia. Okay, so thank you then so much for being present and getting the correct link. Yeah, we are all learning, including I think our cost officers. But it's a good sign that you did not give up and were here present in such a big amount. So I'm really happy, and I really look forward to work with all of you. And I think I don't speak only for myself, but also from Sila's side. So, and if we can help you, just let us know. And you will hear then within a couple of weeks from us back. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And talk
Bye.
to you soon. Bye.
Thank
Have a nice week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye.
So, Kathy?
Yeah, but I will first try to stop the recording, but how can I do that? Recording. Stop, yeah, stop recording.